Text-to-voice synthesis provided by Vidnami. Australia, how they did it, so far, a good example. February 18, 2021 by Anna von Reitz. Please pay very close attention, this is what they did in Australia, meaning the Holy Roman Empire, City of Rome, UN Corp, and their treasonous money-grubbing flunkies. In 1960, the Queen personally enacted the Corporate Bodies Contracts Act 1960 8 and 9 Eliz. 2 ch. 46. This act in effect opened up the floodgates of corruption and allowed private individual contracts of bodies, corporations, and especially municipal corporations a.k.a. STRAWMEN, to supersede and overcome the constitutional contracts owed by the Queen, the Crown and government to the people of Great Britain. Because of this act, you could unknowingly sign away your constitutional guarantees and effectively jump ship to become a UN citizen and slave, subject to UN Corp private law. And if you didn't do this unconsciously for yourself, then it could be done for you via the birth certification process. This allowed the Queen, the Crown, and the Parliament to evade their constitutional obligations, and provided an excuse for the Pope to enforce UN law on the people of Great Britain using the puppets, STRAWMEN, as the new subjects of the UK corporation. This allowed the imposition of UNIDROIT as the private citizenry of Great Britain were sequentially redefined, first as UK corporations and second as public municipal properties and UN franchise corporations. It's the same scheme that was used in America to evade our constitutions, just 100 years later, and I don't think the timing is an accident. It's all fraud, treason and breach of trust in both cases and in any event. The Queen got her cut and Westminster got their cut, the Pope got his very fat cut, and everyone concerned was completely unaccountable for entrapping, enslaving, and evading. They set aside their constitutional obligations and roles and wampo bongo. 13 years later, they sealed the airy deal by enacting the Seas and Submerged Lands Act of 1973, which served to seal off the land and soil jurisdictions and the courts serving those jurisdictions. This act, which fails to be an enactment, then allowed the UN Corp to come into the territorial jurisdiction of Australia and establish UN-based exclusive economic zones similar to what was done in America with the establishment of territorial state of states and then, municipal state of state entities. And there they have sat as smug pirates, sheltering behind the storefront of the vacated constitutional government, stealing and plundering and acting as predators upon the people they are supposed to protect. It's the same exact shtick as they used in America, only the names were changed to protect the guilty. They excused their own hideous breach of trust by pretending that all the sane people of the Australia and the United Kingdom, too, went to sea and adopted foreign persons and voluntarily, privately, subjected themselves to foreign law and foreign governments, while they failed to disclose any of this to the general population, and simply left the innocent people, to whom they owed good faith and service and a Christian monarch, to fall into their trap. The obvious game plan in all of this was to overthrow the constitutional monarchy and replace it with corporate feudalism, with everyone remade into corporate franchise subjects of nameless, faceless governmental services corporations, conveniently owned and controlled by the Queen and the Pope. We've called them out for it, the Queen and the Roman Pontiff a.k.a. Pope, and all the politicians acting as the boards of directors. These governmental services corporations exist via the patronage of the Queen and the definitions of the Roman Curia, so there is no doubt whatsoever who is responsible for this criminal breach of trust and the implementation of this criminal genocidal scheme, because make no mistake, they have shanghaied us into the foreign jurisdiction of the sea via false and undisclosed registrations, and they have attempted to kill everyone on paper, and so as to reduce us all to the level of legal fiction entities and decedents with respect to our natural estates and public law. They have followed this same pattern in every country we have researched: false registration of babies, which traffics the victim's name into the international jurisdiction of the sea and creates an unconscionable territorial citizenship contract, followed by another unlawful conversion of the victim's name into that of multiple municipal citizens, which are corporations of various kinds operated under the names of the victims. John Mark Doe equals Municipal Sestuike Vi Trust. John M. Doe equals Public Transmitting Utility. John Doe equals Public Charitable Trust. All this has been going on behind the backs of the honest, earnest, innocent people of the earth, who have been targeted by these vermin in high places. Indeed, we didn't have a clue. But now, we do.